On the campaign trail, President Donald Trump made a lot of promises, and as you all know, once he was elected, he's broken quite a bit of promises as well. But there's one promise in particular that I want to talk about today, because if he breaks this promise, which he seems likely to, I think it would be particularly cruel, especially based on what he sold to this demographic of people on the campaign trail. So Miriam Sala of The Intercept reports President Donald Trump courted Haitian voters in Miami's Little Haiti neighborhood 2 months before the 2016 presidential election, saying he wanted to be their greatest champion. He had come to listen and learn, he told members of the largest Haitian community in the United States. Haitians, he said, deserved better than Hillary Clinton, whose Clinton Foundation has been accused of profiting from relief efforts following the 2010 earthquake. But if the Department of Homeland Security upends a program currently in place to protect Haitian immigrants, the community will be one more in a long line of folks who went broke betting on Trump. The DHS is poised to send 59,000 Haitians who benefit from a program called Temporary Protected Status back to an island that has yet to recover from a series of devastating natural disasters, including Hurricane Matthew last year and a deadly cholera outbreak. Trump has until November to change his mind. Haiti is one of 10 countries the DHS has designated for TPS based on conditions that temporarily prevent the country's nationals from returning safely, or, in certain circumstances, where the country is unable to handle the return of its nationals adequately. For Haiti, the TPS designation stemmed from the catastrophic 2010 earthquake. El Salvador, Honduras, Nepal, Nicaragua, Somalia, Sudan, South Sudan, Syria, and Yemen, countries ravaged by violence or torn apart by natural disasters, also have active TPS designations. TPS, as its name indicates, is a temporary solution with no pathway to citizenship, but it allows nationals of those countries to live and work in the United States for as long as DHS deems their home countries unsafe to return to. The program, which can be issued for periods between 6 and 18 months, is the statutory embodiment of safe haven for those migrants who may not meet the legal definition of refugee, but are nonetheless fleeing or reluctant to return to potentially dangerous situations, according to a Congressional Research Service report. There is bipartisan consensus in Florida that Haiti is, in fact, not a safe haven for its people to return to. As Haiti's July expiration date for TPS approached, Florida's Republican Governor Rick Scott joined Senators Bill Nelson and Senator Marco Rubio and members of South Florida's congressional delegation in calling on DHS to extend protection for Haitians. Then DHS Secretary John Kelly heard their call, kind of. He extended the program for 6 months and told Haitians to be ready to return home come January. The DHS is expected to announce whether the program for Haiti will be terminated or extended in November, but despite recent unrest in the country and pressure from lawmakers and immigration groups, the agency seems unlikely to budge. Like DACA participants, many TPS recipients may soon be left with an impossible choice: return to an unstable country which in many cases has not been home for decades, or stay put and live in the shadows. Some Haitians, fearing deportation, have journeyed to Canada to seek asylum. Now, really, this story, I think, has two elements. First of all, it's just the sad element where you look at these Haitians who are human beings, they're suffering, and they're here because they can't return home. Now, I think that we should go an extra step and make them citizens, allow them at least a path towards citizenship, because if you've been in this country for so long and you work in this country, why not make them citizens? Well, we know if you're a Republican, you don't want them to be citizens because they might vote against you. So that's egregious to me, but the other element of this story is just the sheer level of betrayal. I mean, Donald Trump specifically claimed to be on their side and railed against the Clinton Foundation's profiteering of Haiti after their 2010 earthquake, but yet he's not coming through with that promise. He's abandoning them in the same way that the Clintons did. And it's so frustrating to me because after promising to look out for them, you have to come through on that promise. But I mean, again, this isn't the only promise that Donald Trump broke. And honestly, it's not that surprising. But look, I'll say the same thing about this that I said about DACA. We need to make Dreamers and these Haitians citizens. I mean, we all own this earth collectively as human beings. So I think that it's arbitrary to tell someone who's lived in this country for so long that they don't belong here permanently like all of us, okay? I think that these Haitians, like Dreamers, have just as much of a right to be here as I do because they also contribute to this country. And we need to start looking at human beings as human beings and stop seeing these lines that we made up, these borders that we created in our minds. Borders are a social construction. Now, I'm not saying that there's no instrumental or even intrinsic value to borders, but we have to see fellow human beings as just that, human beings, but we don't see it that way. We see human beings who aren't citizens of this country as the other. In fact, we see citizens of this country as the other. And it's just so frustrating to me as someone who is a humanist. It's time that we come together as a species and look out for one another once and for all. But I mean, in this capitalistic society, we just can't do that because everyone is competing with one another. Everything is economized. And, these citizens of Haiti who came here and have lived here for a long time, who basically know the United States as their one and only home, I think it's so sad to send them back to a country that clearly is incapable of housing them. So I really hope that this story gains more traction so that way Donald Trump is pressured to do the right thing here.
Support this podcast by becoming a patron at patreon.com/Humanist Report.